It's the Final Whistle podcast. We're back at Croke Park, and just when you think you've seen it all on your travels, following football and following Mayo teams around the country and beyond, we get a finish like that. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't heard about it, my advice is to go and find it on social media. Crossmolina have won the All-Ireland Intermediate Club title in the most dramatic, the most incredible of circumstances. And as their captain Mikey Loftus said as he lifted the trophy, it's a bittersweet victory. They become the first club to ever win an All-Ireland Senior and Intermediate Club title. Conor Loftus scoring a penalty 6 minutes into added time to beat Ballinderry 1-12 to 13 points. And the sight of Conor sprinting down the tunnel when the final whistle sounded, it'll stay with all of us for a long, long time, John Gunnigan. And I've just been across the road there on my way out of Croke Park chatting to Peadar Flynn and Gabriel Welch and James Nallen and PJ Hughes, and everyone is emotional. And that there's tears in eyes, because that was one of those things that only comes along every so often. And I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they played the match. I don't know how Conor Loftus did what he did to score that penalty, but God, it was great to be there to see it happen.
It was, Mike, it was. And I was chatting with Fergie Boland and Darren McHale afterwards, and I think most of the Mayo team were there, if not all of them. You know, and I was saying that, like, how Conor even got out of bed this morning, never mind even laced his boots and togged out in Croke Park. But to be placed in a position like that at the end, you literally could not write that script. Like, Mike, I've been coming here to Croke Park, it's 50 years now. First time I was, a bit over 51 years actually. First time I was here was in 1974. And I've seen lots and lots of things at Croke Park. But I have never witnessed anything on the emotional scale. I've never witnessed anything like that. Even the great Mayo days, nothing compared to that. That was just literally unbelievable.
Yeah, when I think back, like Crossmolina, James Mahady scored a point to put them 11-8 ahead heading into the last quarter, and it looked like they were going to drive on, or that they had control of the game. And then Ballinderry, what an effort they put in. They hit 5 points without reply. They just took complete and utter control of the match. Daniel McKinless came on to score a couple of points. Rory Forbes kicked a long-range score. And when Conor O'Neill made it 13-11 in the 59th minute, you just felt, and I wrote this on Discord, and it was the consensus in the press box, Crossmolina had hit the wall. You just felt all the emotion and the build-up, all the energy it must have taken them to focus on a football match after everything that happened in the last few weeks. It had finally caught up with them. And then Níall Coggins, man of the match, pulls a point back 2 minutes into added time. We were told we'd have at least 5. And lo and behold, round about 5.5 minutes into added time, Stephen Duffy, of all people, takes a pass from Níall Coggins, bears down on goal. Brian Benson tells us afterwards, you'll hear from Brian shortly, that Stephen was carrying an injury and he couldn't kick the ball. So the plan was, when they sent him on, he's soldiering with the club for years, just don't kick the ball, Stephen, whatever else you do. He didn't get a chance to kick the ball because he ran straight into Ben McKinless, the Ballinderry goalkeeper. Sean Lonergan, the referee, adjudged it to be a foul. He gave the penalty. McKinless gets a second yellow. He's sent off. There are scenes of delirium all around the stadium, because you can't make this stuff up. Daniel McKinless stands in the goal, and then I thought where the drama was really heightened, Kevin Mulhern takes the football and stands on the penalty spot. And as the Crossmolina boys were saying afterwards, there was plenty of Ballinderry lads giving him advice and giving him stick, but of course it was all a ploy. He hands the ball to Conor Loftus, and the rest is history. I mean, can you imagine, John, what must have been going through Conor's mind standing over that penalty? You score, Crossmolina win the All-Ireland. You miss, they don't. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah, again, just chatting after the game, we were just saying there must have been 10 million thoughts going through his head at that time. How do you focus down on the task facing you? Now, there was a discussion as well around where I was before the penalty was taken as to whether or not he should just tap it over, go to extra time. But you just felt there was a moment of history here. It was set up. He had to go for it, didn't he? And it was as good a penalty as the one in the semi-final as well. There was absolutely no doubt about it, and I have it on video, Mike. So
and you hear that line as well. Grown men and women were crying and there were tears. It's true.
I was bawling like a baby at the end.
Yeah, it was hard to keep it together. Tom Nallen, the great Tom Nallen, who lifted the Andy Merrigan in 2001. I was lucky enough to be there that day. He was on co-commentary with Midwest and spoke to him before the match. He's a very logical, very practical man, and he just felt that it would be, an incredible test of this young group. Would they be able to just focus on a game of football for an hour? And by God, they gave their answer. I mean, the Coggins again. Like, it's unfair to single anybody out because you have JP Mulhern in goal. Like, what a character, like what a legend. And I mean, goes off injured, and Patrick Loftus gets the call. First time all year, in you go.
But what a save that was! That was a really dangerous ball in, and I mean that could have easily been flicked into the net, and that probably would have been decisive at that stage.
He goes down in the line of duty. They bring in Carolyn and Duffy, the old Warriors as well.
But then there was a lovely moment when that substitution happened, because Patrick Loftus went over and hugged him on the sideline after pulling on the gloves and coming back in. Yeah. So you could feel like the emotion was just fizzing everywhere, wasn't it?
It was. And with that in mind, what we'll do is we'll take you down into the auditorium under Croke Park. Maybe 15 minutes after the final whistle, not long after the presentation. We got to hear from Níall Coggins, the man of the match. We got to hear from Brian Benson, the manager, and not to be outdone, Fionan Duffy sidled through the door and slid in beside Brian Benson and held court as well, and it was lovely. You'll hear the voices of some of the other local journalists as well. Michael Gallagher from the Mayo News was there, Anthony Hennigan from the Western People, a couple of the Derry and national journos as well, and it was just a lovely football chat. We'll hear from Níall first. He was the first man in, a man, a few words, a young man. He's been called into the Mayo squad. I think we're going to see a lot more of him in years to come. He delivered in style again today. Didn't get his customary goal. Now that I mention it, Liam Connor didn't get his customary goal either. Not that he did the day I gave it to him, but no, Níall Coggins was outstanding. He was the man of the match. We'll hear from him first, and then Brian and Fionan as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird feeling, all right, but yeah, we're over the moon with the win. Very emotional time for everyone, I think. But yeah, delighted to get the win though and get over the line.
For Conor to step up and take that penalty was so brave and put it away.
Yeah, that's Conor though. He's nerves of steel. Like he just steps up and he just knew he was going to score. There was no doubt really. Everyone believed in him and he stuck it in the net. That was it.
As a team, you didn't panic though. I mean, you conceded those 5 points on the spin, and like all the momentum seemed to be with Ballinderry, and you used the 5 minutes added to the maximum.
Yeah, no, we've been in that position before when we're down, and we always know we're going to be able to crawl back. We just have the lads that can get stuck in and just keep going, the work rate, and we knew we were always going to crawl back.
And at half time, you must have been pretty satisfied with where you were. I think it was 6 apiece, and you played against the worst of the elements.
Yeah, it was 6 apiece. I suppose we still had more in us though. We knew we could push on in the second half, and we did exactly that, I suppose. Yeah. Thank you.
Any part of you thought he should have put it over?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right decision to go for it?
I'd say it's the right decision. Yeah.
Yourself, you had a goal chance.
I had one or two. All right, I could have finished them off, but look, they don't. It doesn't matter now. So happy with it. Yeah.
What was it dwelling in your head?
One or two of them, I might have went for a goal, for sure. skidded over the bar, but I'll take it. Yeah.
It was the same for both teams, obviously, but with the postponement, how the disruption. How did you deal with that the last few weeks? In terms of the squad and coming together and training and trying to keep some kind of focus on the game that was to come.
Yeah, look, it was tough in those few days, but we just pushed on again and back to training, back to the same routine, and we just got used to it, and that was it, really. Yeah.
Did football kind of help in that situation?
Yeah, definitely helped. I think going out there, training with the lads, having a bit of crack, that definitely helped the team morale and got everyone together. Yeah.
Conor's an incredibly strong fella, I'd say, is he?
He is, yeah.
You know him well, like.
Yeah, no, Conor's a brilliant lad, and look, he stepped up today. Everyone knew he was going to finish that off. Unreal courage, to be honest.
I think Mikey just mentioned it there in the speech about John Maughan right at the beginning of the season. Is this something he had in mind? For
it was actually Sean Connolly.
Sean
Connolly, who was with us. Yeah, he actually said to us that we'd have an All-Ireland in us, and everyone thought he was a bit mad, but look, he was right in the end.
When did you start thinking of All-Ireland? Was it after the county final?
No, not really. I'd say after it was nearly every game at a time, and
okay.
After the Connacht, then our focus was on All-Ireland, and that was it. Yeah.
Did you grow up kind of hearing about the senior win back in the early 2000s?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was always a big thing, hearing with the players back then, McD and all them. Like, we grew up like everyone talking about them across the mine, and it's great to be up there ourselves now in the conversation.
What do you remember, Níall, about that last play that led up to the penalty?
The last play, I only remember passing to Stephen Duffy, and he was in on goal. That was it.
Did you close your eyes?
I closed my eyes. Yeah, for the penalty, I was watching on, but very nervous.
What did that feel like when the ball hit the net?
Unreal. What a feeling, yeah. You can't describe it, really.
You knew you had it?
Yeah, you knew that was it then, and we won it.
What did Mikey call it? Bittersweet?
Bittersweet, yeah.
Is that how you describe it?
I would say so, yeah, small, but yeah, it's just what a feeling. You can't describe it, really.
Well done.
Thank you.
Gave the ball to Stephen.
It was, yeah, that's great.
Was it James Mahady got the toe poke into you? Or?
Yeah, I don't know who gave it to me, to be honest now. I can't remember in the moment. But yeah, it was Stephen Duffy who I passed it to. Yeah, he made a good run in the back post and got on the ball.
EBS, the Mortgage Masters, are proud partners of the Mayo Football Podcast. So whether you're at home or abroad, EBS in Castlebar is your one-stop shop for advice and information on mortgages. You can find them online or call into the office on Market Street in Castlebar.
I don't know, the emotions, like as I said after the last ones, but out there, I mean, when we got that penalty, I think I turned around to John and Budgie and just said, it's either meant to be now today or it's not. It was like a defining moment of the year.
Yeah.
It's going to happen or it's not. And whichever way it went, it was going to go, but obviously.
You must be drained,
obviously the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks have been really tough in the club. Very emotional. Obviously see Conor there as soon as the game is over. He's bolted down the tunnel, so like while we're all excited and delighted, our thoughts have to go to them and to Conor, Loftus and the Crines. I mean, it's obviously really difficult for him, to see him to bolt down the tunnel after winning All-Ireland in Croke Park. I mean, it says a lot, about the fact that he could come out and play today for us. So, have to acknowledge that, I suppose.
And the fact that he stands up for the biggest kick, maybe in recent history of Crossmolina, last second, and that man stands up.
Oh yeah, but that's Conor. The couple of days at the funeral, he told us. He said to us, we called into him in the house, and he was very clear. He says, keep training, keep pushing on, keep driving on, and make sure we're ready to go whenever the game is played. So it's a testament to the man that he is, and where to be able to change his focus, obviously, or to even be thinking about an All-Ireland final in the circumstances.
Was he always going to play the Duffy?
Yeah. He been. I think Mikey might say, but I think he was telling Mikey, I think maybe the day after of all the circumstances occurred, and he was saying kick outs. He was starting to talk about. So we kind of knew, but obviously we didn't know until kind of the funeral time that he was going to play.
Was there any discussion over the penalty on the sideline about going for it or the point or?
Not that we got the message on, but we were very adamant that it was go for it. That was, I think, the point. It was either going to be or it wasn't. And I think with Conor, the way he has taken penalties all his life, especially in the last year or two, he's kicked a good few penalties. You see where we see where they usually end up, and it's back in the net. And thankfully today, that's where.
I just asked Níall about the momentum, how the game had changed in that period beforehand. You know, they got a run of 5 points on you, and the wherewithal of the team to stick to the process and use those 5 minutes of added time to the maximum. You know?
Yeah, but we've been in this position a few times this year where we've been kind of against the cosh, and I think a testament to this team is the character in just staying at it, stay with it, you know, and fight to the last minute, and that's what we do. You see Stephen Duffy coming on. He burst the line twice. He created another goal chance just before that, and like Stephen can't even kick the ball. He's carrying a quad injury, even though we're delighted. That was one of the talking points before we were coming in was don't shoot, Stephen, you know. But
he followed that.
He followed that, and he won the penalty. But no, look, we're delighted, absolutely delighted.
Your own managerial career, Brian, it has been a bit like Crossmolina, hasn't it? Like it hasn't been all glory.
No. This is my 4th year, so obviously I spoke to the lads last night. There was a big change needed maybe 4 years ago in terms of culture and just galvanising a group that was maybe, I don't know, we were just a little bit on the floor, I felt. And I, as I said to these boys, and obviously there's been a lot of change, a lot of youth, but they've bought into everything. No matter what I ask or what we ask of them, they do it 100%. And look, again, we have the ability, we have the youth, so it's just a matter of letting them go and express themselves and play. And that's what we try to get across. The biggest stage of all in Croke Park, go and enjoy it and play. I think that's what we did today, even though Ballinderry, in fairness, they were phenomenal. Do you know, when we went 3 up, and I think they came back, they hit us 5 in the bounce. But just to stay in the game and keep going and plugging away and creating a couple of goal chances which we missed, and then staying at it and finding that last chance and taking it.
And sometimes, like, I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but you talk about squad efforts and it needs a squad. And I mean, you lost Dara in the first half, then you lose Kevin, like, you know.
Yeah.
Things that you can't plan for, really, in terms of Kevin.
Well, Dara had been injured, and we felt we could get started him, we get something out of him. He was a little bit struggling out there. Probably hasn't got enough training. Maybe he's only been training in the last 10 days. But obviously we're bringing in Carl and Stephen. We've all the old fellas on the bench at this stage, all guns. But they brought it home. Yeah. We done the same against Ballinderry way back many months ago. Now at this stage, you know, in similar conditions, we needed those boys to step up, and they came in there again today and did the job again. So
it's amazing, isn't it, the near misses you've had along the way this season? You know how it could easily have turned, and yet here you are, champions.
Yeah, I suppose it's been a roller coaster of a year. Obviously, you know, we've had some lots of downs with Fionan here, Fergal and Darren in the backroom team losing their dad. Tommy Welch has lost his dad, and obviously Conor now losing his fiancée. I mean, we've had a lot of, you know, bad days, and but in that it's probably galvanised the group. And when you go down the straight in some of these games and it's tight, this is where the group, that's where it is, that you know, comes from, that kind of, I suppose, that steel and that togetherness that we have within the group. And we've spoke about it. 37 players, I mean, they're absolutely phenomenal. It's the tightest group I've ever seen in any team environment I've ever been involved in.
Fionan, what was it like kicking into those conditions in the first half and walking out, you know, before the match? Wasn't a pretty day.
No, it was rough now. When we landed earlier on this morning, when we arrived to Croke Park, we had a quick walk on the pitch. It was very, very bad, very difficult. The wind was howling. It kind of swirls in Croke Park as well. So, it was tough now. It calmed a small bit for the actual game, but you really had to kick clean through the ball. You had to really strike every ball to make sure it got over the bar. So it was tough, but luckily enough we got enough of them.
What were you thinking, in those last few minutes? You know, they've gone ahead. They've got 5 in a row.
Yeah, you never think it's over, but geez, our heads were down for a couple of seconds there when they got a couple in a row. Got a lot of 50-50 started going their way in the last couple of minutes too, I felt. So you kind of just feel like nothing's happening here. And then, but as Benny just said, it's such a strong group, such a close group, that it's never actually over, and we all gelled together and just started pressing, started attacking them, and the last minute, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, you could see we kind of had them pinned inside the 21, managed to turn them over for it was Níall that got the point when Stephen Duffy broke through, and then again to win the penalty. So we just kind of, it's never over, you have to keep pressing, and thankfully we got our reward in the end.
Did you get a chance to gather your thoughts before the penalty or talk to anybody, or what was that like?
I was kind of going around telling lads to make sure we're ready for the kick out, because I thought he might give another play, but
it's not like you.
I know, yeah. I've started at some stage. I didn't really know how to think, to be honest, but I knew Loftus was going to score. He always scores penalties, so I back him to the hilt. There was no problem there. I knew he was going to score it. Yeah.
It looked like Mulhern was going line and dropped it once.
That was a ploy, I think, because there was a couple of lads in Kevin's ear thinking he was taking it, and it's better. Yeah, Lofty was kind of just standing back on the fringes. I think that was a bit of a ploy. Kevin's cute, you see. He'll be around a long time.
There was a bit of a worry on the bench, all right, as to when Kevin was standing there. I said, I think it's only a ploy, but there was still a lot of worried men thinking.
You cannot pick it up and fish it over from the penalty spot.
Claiming as a training ground one then?
Huh?
You're not claiming as a training ground?
No.
What did you tell them at half time, Brian? You were in a good position.
Yeah, but there's no look. I'm a big believer. There's no magic formula in this. Yeah. It's very calm and relaxed in the dressing room. Yeah. Jordan had a few rousing words. I'm generally very calm and relaxed. I know you might not think that from watching me playing years ago, but the message is very clear. Go and express yourselves. Enjoy it. That's why we play football. So go out, stick to the process, play for 65 minutes and see where it goes. This is what we had to do today. 65, I think it was probably 66 minutes or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But it's very clear. The training's done. I think we've 103 training sessions that we had marked up. 103 training sessions. Me saying something at half time at that final stage isn't going to make. In my opinion, that's the way I am. You're prepared or you're not at that stage. So it's very simple for me.
But there was nights a long way from Croke Park, obviously, where Connolly and Mahan spoke about winning All Ireland. It's a long way from here.
Yeah, that was. So Sean, obviously very positive Hollymount man, or Carramore, whichever. He came down. I think it was either May or June, whenever it was, into May, and like it was the first night, and we went into a meeting. We had a team meeting. It was before a league game, and he spoke about just positivity and all that. And it's the first night we ever met him, and he said, "Lads, reach for the stars." He says, "There's a County, Connacht, and All Ireland in this team," and he'd never met us. And just from there, that's kind of been the mantra. But it's been, look at all the cliche, just get out and play the football. There's no magic formula to it. It was just stick together. Obviously, injuries, we've been okay. We haven't lost anyone all year really, so we've got the breaks as well. Yeah.
I know everyone was important, but what input had Mahan and these days?
Obviously, he brings huge experience. He's great crack.
Yeah, he's good crack.
He's good crack. In fairness, he's not the old John Mahan that everyone maybe associates him with, but he just brings that. It's challenging people and just talking. And when he challenges someone in a group, he'll always will say when they walk out of the dressing room, he puts his arm around them and has a chat. So from that perspective, that's where he's really good. Just that one-to-one conversations here and there, where maybe fellas need a little bit of a kick in the behind. He's very good at that, and that's what he's brought in for, just to add that bit of. I think maybe I'm too nice at times, so John brings a bit of
the challenge, but it's a challenge.
He doesn't like to think that he's the bad cop and I'm the good cop. That's the way it is.
Are you looking forward to getting back home, lads?
Oh geez, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to getting into the dressing room now and then onto the bus, and this is what it's all about. You have to enjoy these. It doesn't happen often.
Do you remember anything of 01?
Bits and pieces. Yeah, I'd be younger than Brian now. I remember bits and pieces, but
all I remember 01 was thinking I'd love to be out there, and then obviously into 03 I was getting closer and closer. But as I've always said to the boys, when I came in after losing that All Ireland, I thought Crossmolina were going to be in All Irelands every single year, and it has taken us 22, 23 years to get back there. So I mean, it's been some journey, but well worth the wait. But we've got to keep going now and driving on and not rest on that. Push on in senior and see can we challenge. Over the next 2 or 3 years in Mayo, and see can we challenge in that as well.
So they were the voices of Fionan, Duffy, Brian Benson and Níall Coggins. And I thought it was lovely, John, to hear particularly Fionan and Brian, who'd be a little bit older, talking about 2001 and 2003. And, Fionan doesn't have as many memories as Brian does, but you heard Brian reference it there. Back in 03, when he broke in the following year to play senior across Crossmolina, he thought the good days will last forever. It's taken them 22 years to get back here to Croke Park to win an All Ireland, but they've just made history. And I know it won't be today or tomorrow, probably that'll sink in, But what an achievement to become the first club ever to win an All-Ireland senior and intermediate. And of course, if Ballinderry had won today, they would have written that chapter. But it's some achievement.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. But I think what it tells you as well is that your heritage, whether you're a club or a county, can be a huge positive for you. I mean, I don't think anybody coming up the road here from Crossmolina, regardless of if you leave the backdrop aside for a minute, but they all would have believed they're rightfully here, and of course they were going to win it. You know, because they just have that pedigree and they've had that cut about them all along. I mean, let's be honest. Like some of the hardest games they had were in Mayo. You know,
as a Ballinrobe man, don't remind me, John.
Getting out of Mayo was an absolute bear pit, you know. I mean, and they've really, I mean, they've grown in leaps and bounds as a team since then.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall where the Moydavis lads were watching the match as well today. It looked like they had them beaten. You'll have heard a name there as well mentioned in the interviews, and he's a man and a name that I've got to know over the years. I have to admit, though, I didn't realise he was involved in the back room. Sean Connolly, friend of John Maughan. John brought him down, was it in May or June, Brian Benson said, from Dublin. I suppose to give him a modern title, a performance coach or just somebody in the background to be talking to lads one-on-one, to be talking to the group. And he told them to reach for the stars. You know, County, Connacht, All-Ireland. He believed in them just to give them that little edge, that little bit extra. And that leads me on to the Maughan factor. The lads touched on it there. You know we're big fans on the pod, and I don't know. We'll never know, but I don't think they would have won this All-Ireland without him. I think I saw him talking to the fourth official before half-time as well. I imagine it was one of two things. The Ballinderry wing-back was getting too close for comfort to James Mahady off the ball, giving him a lot of stick. And also, I think Crossmolina had an issue with the Ballinderry goalkeeper wearing a jersey that was clashing a bit with theirs, and it changed at half time. But they're the kind of things, and they're just two little examples. But having Maughan in your dressing room, sure, it has to be worth a few points to you.
It has to be, yeah. And I saw him out in the pitch afterwards, you know, and he was just in his element. I mean, they had a really good, experienced backroom team, and if you look at it, you know, for the team itself is really a very young team, isn't it? You know, with some exceptions, of course, as well. There's a few lads there that's pulling up.
Carl Carolyn and Stephen Duffy would love to hear you calling them young lads. Yeah,
but there's a few there that pull up the average age by about a decade. But I think there's a nice mix there, isn't there? And I do think they definitely lent in heavily to that 2001 experience to help them carry them over the line today. But the other thing, Mike, as well, just in terms of the crowd and everything, what I thought was lovely, there were people there from all over Mayo. I mean, I know, because and they were talking about it on the blog during the week, but people saying, I'll go up for the match, but I'm going to stay for the Crossmolina game. And I would say, you know, most clubs in Mayo were represented there today, because you could see, as well as a lot of Crossmolina hats, there was an awful lot of Mayo hats there, people with no Crossmolina colours at all, and they had the bulk of the bulk of the crowd, you know, so that did help as well.
No, it's true, and look, we'll finish on this, and you hear it said, and we've all experienced it ourselves over the years, but when there is a tragedy, or when families or clubs or the GA community need to rally together and bind together, that's one of the great Irish things and one of the great GA things, and you could see it again today. And I mentioned PJ Hughes. I mean, I'd be very surprised if 99.9% of our listeners haven't heard his name before. He's the legendary Crossmolina PRO. He's my go-to and has been for years if I need a stat about a Mayo footballer or a Crossmolina footballer. And he's standing outside Croke Park across the road there now with tears in his eyes, and as he said, the team left yesterday morning under a bit of a cloud. There wasn't the sort of send-off that they would have liked to have got, or the teams back in the day would have got, for obvious reasons. And you know, he mentioned about Conor Loftus travelling up on his own to join up with the group, and you know, the shadow, the cloud that's been over Conor and the cryings, obviously. And I thought it was lovely in Mikey Loftus' speech. I mean, we said it after the county final, any grandson of Dr. Mickey Loftus was never ever going to let the occasion pass him by, but to dedicate the win to Roisin Cryan, who died tragically a couple of weeks ago, and to remember her and her family, and to to call it a bittersweet win, I just thought, John, and I know we were chatting about this before we turned on the microphone, it was word perfect, wasn't it?
Oh, it was, yeah. It just met the moment perfectly, you know, and as did Jarlath Byrne's contribution just beforehand. I thought that was really nicely judged as well, you know. But you know, Billy Joe has often said on the pod and elsewhere that, you know, sport is the most important of the least important things in life, and I think we all get reminders of that from time to time. But I think the importance of sport in all our lives was shown today, because it does have healing properties as well, you know. And I think regardless of how today went, I think if the lads didn't show up today, that would have been perfectly understandable. If they had lost in very emotional circumstances, you could have said it was almost appropriate, like in terms of everything that they'd been through. But to go on and actually win the damn thing, like, you couldn't script that. You just could not script that, and certainly not the circumstances to win it. And the amazing thing was at the end, like the stewards were pushing us out of the ground, and I just thought, that's perfect. There's a whole community of people there who don't want to leave. They're all chatting to their friends and neighbours and all the rest, and they've been hooshed out of Croke Park, having just witnessed something that they're never going to witness ever again.
Yeah, look, it was emotional, it was poignant, it was remarkable, and it was a pleasure to be there. And I think when they pressed play on the green and red of Mayo, as Mikey Loftus came down the steps with the cup, whoever was holding out at that stage or holding their emotions together, I think that cracked the last few. But look, we hope you've enjoyed this Final Whistle podcast. It's been a busy weekend here in Dublin. 3 Final Whistle pods. If you haven't clicked in to the previous 2 on your feed, we'd advise you to dive in and take a moment to listen to Liam McHale and myself and John reflecting on the ladies' defeat. Then we jumped ahead to last night. We heard from Rob Hennelly. We couldn't stop Nigel Reid talking, and I can tell you he was only getting started when we turned off the microphone. I think he's still in there talking to himself, John, is he?
That's right, and I had the pleasure of informing Fergal Boland after the game that Nigel had picked him out as his EBS man of the match from last night.
Our inaugural,
no statuette for him, unfortunately.
Our inaugural EBS man of the match. And look, I suppose to square the circle, our EBS man of the match from this game is Níall Coggins. A great bit of stuff, and he and the rest of the Crossmolina lads very shortly now, they're inside having their meal. They'll be jumping on the bus, they'll be heading back home, and what was it Mikey Loftus said again? Get the bonfires ready, get the bonfires burning, we're coming home. God, that was brilliant. That's it from us. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon, and thanks for listening.
Now, as Kevin